told you the next day.
I know.
I call to order the Wheeling Plan Commission for Thursday, October 11th. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary, please call the roll.
Sure. Commissioner Burns. Here. Commissioner Dorban.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson. Here. Commissioner Facade, I'm here. Commissioner Schaaf.
Here.
Commissioner Stanley gave prior notice that he would not be in attendance, and Chairman Maloney.
Here. Mr. Jennings, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
All right. Citizens' concerns and comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak about anything at this moment? If not, we close that section. Consent items, there are none. Items for review, docket number SCBA 1247. This is Creekside Plaza, 200 to 300 McHenry Road, appearance approval of freestanding signs. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. Creekside Plaza, it's represented by a sign company, if you could come forward, please, is proposing a multi-tenant sign at the northwest corner of the property. If you're familiar with the layout of the shopping center, there are entrances on both McHenry and Elmhurst. This is at the intersection of McHenry and Elmhurst, where the back of the former Brothers Furniture building, which was known as Be Smart for a while after that. It's at the back of that building, and what's being proposed is a monument sign. There was one change that staff made to the drawings as submitted, just to illustrate, after staff had talked to the petitioner about the angle of the sign, we did modify this slightly. This is to be clear, a staff representation of modifying the angle. The item that was shown originally had a profile view that didn't, in our opinion, give the perspective of the side. So we did modify it in this view to sort of match the V shape of that. But other than that, I'd ask the sign company to present the item.
You have the floor, sir. Could you, for the record, would you give your name and business address?
My name is David Ogg with Great Signs. This is, as Mr. Jennings had said, it's a V-shaped sign, 2 illuminated sign boxes right behind the existing sign. There's no modifications that we want to do to the existing sign. We just want to add these 2 signs for tenant exposure. The tenants, as you see us as tenants on the sign, they will be black, opaque copy, vinyl copy added to the acrylic. No colors, just black.
No colors? What if,
No,
what if someone
black.
has a company logo?
They're not going to do that. Just one font.
Okay.
One font. I think aesthetically it looks better. This just as a designer.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it, unless you have any questions.
Well, with that, we'll go to Mr. Afado.
Thank you. So just to continue on to that subject about it's all going to be the same font. Andrew, does it have to be a condition? Because I'm sure if you got a vendor, a company in there that was a big company, that could be a chain that wants their logo on there, what are you going to do?
We're not going to do it.
Okay. Wow.
It'll be in their lease agreement.
Okay, so do we need to have that as a condition?
If
the landlord has a restriction that is above the code, what the code says on the multi-tenant signs is they have to have a uniform background and opacity. So provided that they have a uniform background and opacity, it would be up to the commission. If you want to add a condition of approval that matches the landlord, that would be fine. But as long as the opacity and background color are the same, the code would be satisfied.
Okay, that's fine. So you've got room for 10 tenants? Is that okay?
He's got 18 tenants total.
18 tenants
Yeah,
total.
and you're only allowed 12 tenants per face. So
Right.
we had to go to a V-shape
Okay.
sign for exposure.
So 1, 2, So you've got room for 20.
Yeah.
20. So you're not going to, see, I've never counted how many tenants are there. So you're not going to have,
It's a
I was
balanced
thinking
sign.
it was going to be two sides the same, but in reality, you're going to have all 18 tenants listed on the sign.
You'll have all 18 tenants, you'll have 9 on one side, right? 9
Okay.
on the other. And to make the sign, because it's a square, so to speak, you had to balance it out.
Right.
It's like-
Okay, so you're going to have blanks, you're going to have a couple of blank spaces, right?
Yeah, I suggested to Jim, the owner, that he could put, for leasing information or, something on one of the tenants' panels.
Okay, good. Now, looking at this sign here from a landscape perspective, the poles that are exposed, I guess they're going to be exposed, Andrew? Yeah, that right there. So can you see those if you're driving north on 83 or if you're driving north on Wheeling Road? Will those be visible? I'm trying to...
If you look at the, I don't know if I have a better shot. The existing sign is at a bit of an angle.
Right.
And faces the intersection of Elmhurst and McHenry. So you'll have a view of it. It'll be kind of limited, but you would have a view of it from both Elmhurst and McHenry.
So, and I'm speaking from a landscaping perspective, if we put something there that would grow and cover those eventually, I think that would be a good idea. And then also there is some landscaping behind that sign right now. There's some low plants.
I think there's really low plants there.
Right, yeah.
Very, very low.
I mean, they provide no value, so, can they be moved to the front along with the landscape that you have in front of the blank sign that you're going to take down? There's some burning bushes there. Would it be worth it to try to move those and incorporate it into the landscape here?
Or just take them out altogether,
Okay,
Instead
so-
of incurring an extra cost to the owner, just take them out altogether and add some greenery around, like bushes or something around the poles, so they stay that way.
Right, and then any additional landscaping around this sign?
You're saying, is there a proposal?
Right.
As of now, there is no
No.
proposal.
So I think we need definitely need, because this right here is a fairly current picture, because it looks current because you've got some of the trees in the back that are changing colors. And there's not a whole heck of a lot there. It's pretty dull, as a matter of fact. And I can understand keeping the things low in front so you can see the address, but you've got plenty of room on the side, on both sides, to add landscaping there. I'm actually sort of surprised that a landscape plan didn't come with this, but I'm okay with working with staff as long as we can see a landscape plan before they start putting it in.
At this time of year, you're within the last week for most plants, so it would likely be a spring.
Oh, yeah, I'm not talking about when we put it in.
Right.
But I'd like to see something more. And then I know we have it in there that we're going to be taking out the sign along 83, the old White Hen sign. That's going to be gone. Now, are we taking that landscaping out? We're going to add it? And if we take it out, are we going to put sod there? What's going to happen?
I'll tell you, this is a separate contract on this one, so we would like we're going to omit this sign right here, okay?
Right.
In a separate contract. I'm looking at that picture now at those bushes and shrubs. He wants to make that flat, just flatten it out.
Okay.
He could probably move those by the poles
Well,
and utilize those.
that's what I said.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't incur with so much of a cost on
right,
him.
okay. And then
Okay.
if they're going to flatten that out, does that get sodded or seeded? And
It could be.
we can,
Yeah,
As a condition of approval, if it's going to be removed. then-
okay.
yeah.
Just to ensure that it gets green, I would prefer to have sod there.
Okay.
And we have an address on the, we have the address on the other side. I guess and you're probably going to get this question, so I'm going to ask it first.
Okay.
Right? Why not another sign? Because you only have that one sign that you really can only see from, if you're going south on McHenry Road, Wheeling Road, and you might catch a glimpse of it as you're going by on 83. You would have thought that he would have tried to maybe, sized it correctly to put a sign here, so people could actually see something before they go right by the.
We already proposed all that. It was cost. Because I proposed 2 signs, one on McHenry and one on 83.
Okay.
And the cost was outrageous to do it properly. And he didn't want to do that. He says, it was actually his idea to utilize the one that we're proposing tonight to you. They had tenants to it.
Okay. All right. That's all I had.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Well, Commissioner Raffato stole my thunder, so.
That's all right. That's all right.
The only thing that I would like to see included, and I don't know, Andrew, if it's got to be a condition, but, my feeling about the blank signs, and just when somebody moves out, they flip them over, that you provide some spare blanks so that doesn't happen.
It's already been talked about. And he asked me, what if a tenant moves out? I said, just call me. We go out there and we peel it off, and that's it, and it's done. We won't turn it over. I think that's an eyesore.
Yes.
You just go right out there and you peel it off, and I think you're trying to make the village more appealing. Okay?
That's all I had, thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Burns.
Thank you. I'm afraid to tell you, I don't like this sign. I like your proposal. I'd like to see what you had proposed on those 2 signs on Elmhurst Road and McHenry Road. This current proposal, I don't like from an aesthetic point of view, just that uniform text on a black and white V-shaped sign behind the attractive monument sign they have there. I think it's going to detract actually from the aesthetics. So new landscaping would help. And from a practical point of view, I don't think it's a good idea because as Commissioner Raffato was talking about, the only traffic that's going to really be able to see the sign is southbound McHenry Road. And even then, you're going to have a sign with 18 tenants labeled among your 20 spaces. I mean, at what point is there too many advertisements on one sign? I guess if you're stopped at a red light, you're actually able to take a look at all those tenants, but if you're not, I hope the drivers are keeping an eye on the road instead of trying to find out if Wapagetti's is on the sign.
That's why you got to size the tenant panels appropriately, and you got to make the sign appropriate in size. We are aware that you're only going to see on the V coming from one way or the other. That's already been a given, and the owner's okay with that.
Yeah.
That's not the issue so much. Aesthetically, that's why we put a roof on the sign, to kind of take away from it. It's from afar. If you're sitting right up on the sign, I would agree with you, but you're going to be from afar. You're not even going to know that this sign is not a part of the original sign from afar. That's why we put a filler on the sign. If you notice, there's an 8.5 inch, like filler, like a skirt per se on there. It's going to sit above the pillars, if you notice that. So from afar, you're not even going to notice that. That sign will actually look like it's part of that sign, even though it's not.
What's the roof made out of?
Aluminum.
You're definitely making some efforts to try to make it work,
I'm just
but it's
coming
not
at it
working
as
for me.
a sign professional and as a designer. When I designed the sign, I was kind of thinking within a budget, where it sits, purpose,
Yeah.
what you guys want. I put everything into it. I just think from afar, it's going to look good from afar. It's like a billboard. It's kind of like if you get right up on a billboard, then pixels are real big. It looks like not good, right?
Yeah.
But if you get it far, it looks pretty good. Same difference in this issue here. And I agree with you with the landscaping. I think the landscaping is what's going to make that sign much better.
Yeah,
I really
that'll
do.
definitely help.
And I think if we utilize the landscaping already that's out there, like we talked about,
Yeah.
I think that's going to add to the sign.
All right, thank you. Those are my questions and comments, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorband.
Thank you. Just want to make sure I'm understanding. This particular sign that's here, you're talking about adding it on top of the existing,
Not on
correct?
top of it, it's going to sit behind it. So it'll give you an illusion that it is to a point from afar, okay? You really won't even know it's a V sign, you know, whizzing by.
The only problem I have, can we go back, Andrew, is the stone on here really needs some work. I mean, it looks pretty rough.
Well, it's an old sign.
Pardon me?
It's an old sign.
Exactly,
I
but I
agree.
mean, is there a way of sandblasting it or making it look better, or?
Well, that would be something that I am not proposing to do on this sign. Can you do it? I don't know. I don't sandblast. I build signs.
It just,
You know, I don't
it's
do
just such an
stone
old
work.
sign that it looks like an
Right.
old sign.
Right. I agree with you on that.
Might be just a power wash.
Can they do it even, can they power wash it? Sure, they could power wash that.
Something.
Yeah, they can.
And I mean,
If I had a good budget to work with, I would make this, I'd probably start from scratch. That's just me. You know, I'd probably omit the whole thing and start from scratch. But
well, it also, you know, I've walked by there, it needs a
Right.
little tuck pointing, it needs work.
Right.
And the landscaping around there needs to be,
Right.
you know, beefed up and
Right,
looking
but
better.
what we're proposing is to add to the sign for tenant exposure, you know, to generate revenues and exposure for the tenants that are back there. That's really what we're proposing to do, not so much just redoing this sign, but I agree with you on that. If I were to redo the sign at Creekside, number one, it's readable. I would do reverse channelers, and I would sandblast it or whatnot. I would make it more beautified. I agree with you on that.
First of all, something has to be done with it as far as I'm concerned. Cleaning the stone up, making it look more presentable, and certainly making the landscaping more presentable. It's just, it does not look, it just looks like an old sign. If they're going to spend the money to add all these tenants, then
Right.
they need to beef this up a little bit and make it look a little more presentable.
Okay, but should that affect getting tenant exposure? Can we still get tenant exposure on there and propose separately to the owner that he needs to do that to that sign? You know, because we would like to get tenant exposure out there. That's really our main concern. I
Mr.
agree
Jennings, what can we do
aesthetically.
about the sign, about the old sign?
That's all I have.
The base,
Yeah.
I would imagine that the shopping center management has a power washer. They have a lot of sidewalks on the property. I think that lacking the shopping center management here, the commission at its discretion could have a conditional approval. And if the shopping center management has an issue with the wording of that approval, they could approach staff to come back to the commission and request that it be modified.
I can't hear you.
The shopping center could, if they disagree with the direction of the commission and the decision of the commission, they could come back. If they are unable or unwilling to power wash the monument, if they're not satisfied with the approval, if they receive a conditional approval, they could come back and request that it be modified.
So in other words, we can put a
Right.
condition in there that this is conditioned,
Right.
that they have to power wash that base.
Sure.
Okay.
Right, and I'll tell Jim that I'll sell Jim on that. I'll tell him how much better it'll make the whole thing look for
Yeah.
his shopping.
Spiff it up.
Okay?
I-
It'll make you guys happy.
The building, just for reference, the building has a concrete block on the sides of it, and some of it appears to have been power washed, so I'm guessing that they probably do have a power washer.
Commissioner Doorman?
No, I'm done, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Schaaf?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to echo Commissioner Burns's thoughts. You're going to take a clean-cut sign, and then you're going to build something on top of it, which I don't think is going to do the job. People are going to whiz by there. They're on their way home or they're on their way to work. The only people that are going to see the sign are those people that make that corner turn to go over to Denoyer, live back in there. I don't think it's going to do the job. I really don't like that. I think you're going to detract from what's already there, which does, as Commissioner Dorbam pointed out, it does need some repair. It does need some sprucing up. I think the only way to go is two signs, one on McHenry and one on Elmhurst Road.
That's completely out of his budget.
Yeah,
And you
I
won't do it.
understand.
And another thing is I've done this a lot, I'm just saying, and when you add to the sign, I agree if you add it on top of this sign, first of all, you can't structurally do it sound. You just can't do it, okay? We went over that. You can't do it. But even if you could, I agree with you. It would hang over and it wouldn't look right. But in this case, we're just trying to add the tenant exposure out here.
I understand you're trying to add tenant exposure.
It's like a pylon sign. If you go into any shopping center, it's the same difference what you're saying, that somebody's going to whiz by. But if they're looking for someone that's in that shopping center, they're going to look at the sign, the main ID sign, which is in this case is this one on the corner, to see who's in that shopping center. Right now, they have absolutely zero exposure. In fact, I mean, it's really zero because they got all that behind them, right there.
I understand.
See it.
I understand sign exposure.
You know?
I understand exposure
Right.
in the shopping center. People go whizzing by there.
Well, I understand.
And they do, and they're not going to see that sign. If they do look up and see that sign and they're looking for a tenant in there, they're going to have an accident.
Well,
Dime to a dollar.
they're right. They're
yeah.
right on a corner right now where you have lights where they stop, and we built the tenant panels big enough.
And the first two cars may see that sign. Otherwise, they're just worried about making those corners, and that's it. And they're on their way home or they're on their way to work. I don't think it's going to do the job. I think he's going to sink himself in quicksand. But personally, I don't like it. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I'm remiss in something that Commissioner Steinlen sent me an email that he had a few things he didn't like about this, and I got an email from him and mistook it, saying he said he was coming back from a game, and I thought he was home, and I deleted his email, for which I apologize. But Mr. Jennings, you...
Yeah, my best recollection of his email is along the same lines of some of the comments that were made regarding the profile view of the sign. There was a comment relating to the sign, the V-shaped sign being behind the other sign, and as Commissioner Schaff had mentioned, not looking like it's a part of the sign. So I think my recollection of his email, at least, that his comments have been more or less represented.
Okay.
Just for clarification, can I ask the size of the copy on the tenant panels? What would you project that ends up being?
Panel's what, about foot high and about 3.5
about
feet
3.5
wide?
feet long. Well, you can go on 2 lines or 1 line. I would propose 1 line. Because what I always do is I always take the longest line, you know, and make it aesthetically appealing with the proper font and everything.
Okay.
And then I just copy and paste through that one and ditto. That way you keep consistency.
Fine.
And to answer your question, I don't have it on the computer, but I usually leave about, an inch and an inch. You want airspace around it so it looks appealing to the eye. You can be about 10 inches.
So in the neighborhood of 9?
Yeah, around 10, 11 inches. I think that's a good size where this sign sits, and that's what I was trying to say. From afar, it's going to look like it's part of this sign.
I believe we actually recently measured the Creekside copy. I think the C in Creekside is somewhere around 8 or 9 inches.
Yeah, I think I got that. I
So
asked them.
the tenant text.
It
just
is
for
8
reference.
inches on the D right there. Yeah.
So the tenant text is going to be about the size
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, well, no. Yeah, it'll be lower than that, because right now you're at 12 inches on that, so that Creekside
That's
is at
12?
12 inch. That's a very readable sign. It's very readable.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. When I design these things, I try to design, it's a sign with a purpose. And that is a very readable sign. 3.5 feet long by 11 inches, 10, 11 inches is very readable, in my opinion, even whizzing by 45 miles an hour or whatever it is, Chicagoland area, 80, right? No, I'm just saying. But seriously, I mean, it is a very readable sign, in my opinion.
And I think that was the point I was trying to make,
Yeah.
is just to provide a reference of,
Right.
at this distance,
Yeah.
the tenant text is going to be in the ballpark of what you're looking at right here.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty readable, very readable. And if I pick a font as such, maybe condensed in, you know, I think it'll look nice.
Any other questions from the commission?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Rufato?
To Commissioner Dorban mentioned that the stone there was in definite need of cleaning, but she also mentioned repair. So I think it needs to be looked at and repaired and tuck pointed so it's not going to fall apart. So I would like to add that in addition to the cleaning. So we have a sign. And then just a comment, I've got to tell you, if I was one of those 18 tenants in there, and I'm sure they're paying a princely sum, to hear that it's not in his budget to gather more customers, I would find inexcusable. I would find it inexcusable that it's not in his budget. My goodness, he's got 18 tenants. That's, you know, at least $1,000 a month, at least $1,000 a month. That's 18 grand a month that he's probably, pocketing, that he could probably do what we've suggested here. That's unconscionable for our retailers. It's just unconscionable for him to say that. That's all.
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. Andrew, are we looking at this as one sign?
Yes, the code considers a V-shaped sign to be one sign.
Then isn't it violating the 12-tenant limit?
It is, the two faces are, by the code, viewed as if they were back-to-back. That is the reason for the angle requirement. The two faces are viewed by the code on a V-shaped sign to be back-to-back faces. So no,
They were side to side.
It's a creative solution, really, within the code to provide.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Commissioner Burns?
Thank you. I'm afraid one man's creative solution might be another man's violation. Can we go to page 2 of the submitted drawings that show the dimensions of the sign? One more, please. There you, no, sorry. I have a different one in my.
Yeah, he modified this one.
Okay. But the same dimensions aren't there. Andrew, I got one on my packet that shows that the
I have it
sign.
right here if you want to see it.
The sign it shows 6 feet
Right.
from the top of the monument to the top of the new sign, correct? Mm-hmm. And you're going to have 9 tenant plaques, for lack of a better word, identifiers,
Tenant.
rising above in 6 feet of space. So how are we going to get 10-inch letters?
No.
5
1,
high.
2, 3,
Oh, it's 5 high.
5 high.
5 high.
Oh, that makes more sense.
You
Right.
got the
Alright.
black blank on the bottom is almost as high as one of these. Then you got 5 high, so you got 10 on each side.
Right, and the
but they're going to
divider
use 9
bars
of
are
them.
always 1.5 inches, and they slide halfway down. So that's where you get what they call the visual openings. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the VO. That's what I call it off as VO. visual
Okay.
opening.
Certainly in this visual that's on the screen now, the lettering, the tenant lettering is a lot smaller than Creekside Plaza, but you're saying that the letters in the finished product would be
Much bigger than that.
almost as big as those 12-inch letters
Yeah,
on the monument.
yeah, yeah. Because you have the space in there, 10 to 11 inches,
Yeah.
I would say. You got to have airspace in there.
Yes, you do.
You know?
Each square is going to be about 3.5 feet long
Yeah,
and 1 foot high.
yeah. It's very nice exposure.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Jennings, would you read the conditions?
Sure. And these are just drafted based on the conversation, and we can discuss. Number one, that the plant material from the Elmhurst Road sign is to be relocated to the base of the subject sign. Number two,
The back of the base?
On the back of it?
Poles are.
Okay.
Because it'd be too high for the front.
Is it just going to be around the back of it, pretty much?
You want to hide the poles.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
When people
so
are
when
coming out of the shopping center or coming down the street
Sure.
from the side, so they don't see the poles.
No problem. When I convey that to Jim, the owner, then I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I've rewritten that. That the plant material from the Elmhurst Road sign is to be relocated to screen the poles at the base of the subject sign. Number two, that the sign along Elmhurst Road is to be removed with the area to be resodded. Number three, the shopping center is to be provided blank panels and/or a for-lease panel rather than flipping panels of vacant units. And number four, that the existing monument shall be power washed and restored as needed.
Put in the word tuck pointing or repaired.
Repaired / tuck pointed.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Pam, that takes care of your,
Pardon me?
that tuck pointed, power wash, tuck pointed, repaired. You have anything else?
Just a comment. You proposed signs on both sides, on McHenry Road and Elmhurst. And I assume when you proposed those, you knew our village code and they would fit into our village code?
I always do my homework.
Okay, so what you had proposed was that, okay.
I proposed something that you guys would have approved. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
No other questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Motion was made by Commissioner Dorban, seconded by me, Commissioner Raffato. Commissioner Dorban.
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato, I vote no. Commissioner Burns.
No.
Commissioner Schaaf.
No.
Commissioner Johnson.
No.
And Chairman Maloney.
Yes.
There were 2 yeses, 4 noes, and 1 absent. And I can tell you the reason why I voted no, just the statement that it was too expensive for the retailers there, that I find that inexcusable. I really do. That, you know, for our retailers that are these tenants that pay sales tax in our community deserve something that would help them advertise.
I think this will give them max exposure
No.
versus 2 separate signs.
The options for the shopping center at this point, we produced these, the videos of these meetings so he can watch what was discussed. We'll have the minutes available in the near future as well. He can review the section of the code and determine whether or not he'd like to propose a different sign. He can propose something very similar to this and come back himself and speak about it, or he can review the options for an appeal of a decision. But we can be in touch, and you can talk to the owner and then contact the staff about his options.
To be helpful to the petitioner, others that voted no, can you give a succinct reason, something he can do that would let it pass? Commissioner Burns?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question first. The 2 monument, or the 2 signs that you proposed, would you have 9 tenants on one of those and 9 tenants on the other to stay within the limit of 12 that is in our code? Was that your proposal?
On the signs that I didn't understand the question.
Okay, when you proposed to the property owner, a sign on Elmhurst and a sign on McHenry.
Okay.
Were you going to put 9 tenants on one, or 10 spaces for tenants on one of those signs and 10 on the other, or 12 and 12 to stay within code, or were you going to try to put 18 in?
I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
I think the reason why we did it this way was only because of the fact that you had to balance out the sign and you had 18 tenants.
Again, one of the reasons I'm not crazy about this proposal is because 20 spaces for tenant advertisements, there's only 18 tenants right now. I mean, again, at what point is there just too much information for drivers going by to really, register? And something less busy, I think, would be more readable.
Let me ask you a question. How many pylon signs do you see out there that have logos, like Subway up there, or Dunkin' Donuts or whatnot? That's pretty busy because it's different logos, different colors. This is one font, okay? One pretty nice size, long, like I said, I take the longest copy and I make it all the same, one nice font. Even something that you guys would approve, a font that you guys may like.
Yeah.
It could be a condition in it. But I do feel that this sign, where it sits, as big as that is, the copy that it will be with a nice font will be max exposure because it is on a corner. It is the main ID sign. You're not, the other two signs, I put it together. It did not look good. It really didn't. Two separate monument signs. I'm being honest with you. It really didn't.
Well, you got these two separate entrances.
Yeah, I know that, and I did propose that. That was my original proposal, was to bring the existing sign that you want taken out, which I would like to take out the day of install. I would love to take that one out, okay? And that would be, something that we were going to do anyways, okay? But we were going to bring that lower to the ground, and it didn't work. You had to balance it out with two signs. But the way that we put it together, it's not just budget, Jim. It also did not look properly. It didn't really work for that shopping center. But when he brought up this sign that was already existing, it's so hidden that I didn't even think about it. Otherwise, as a designer, I would have came in and said, hey, here's, let's propose something that the village may like. I'm just saying, I still feel that with the proper landscaping, cleaning up of the sign, with the sign as proposed, I still think it will look good. As far as busy goes, we do shopping centers all the time, whether it be a small shopping center or a big one, and they do typically pile on signs with all the tenants properly at a proper size so you can read it, depending on what road you're going down. That's all I'm saying. Busy, to me, if you really want to see a busy sign, and I lost the sign. If you go down Golf Road, Arlington Heights Road, right over in that area, Surelight sign did that sign, and it is so busy, and so you can't even read it, and it's different colors and things. I never design them that way, just because to the eye, you're never going to see it. I just feel that this is a big enough tenant panel.
Well, what we're trying to do is get some information for you so you can come back. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. My concern is basically the same thing. When you're facing directly at that Creekside Plaza sign, you're going to see 20 tenant spaces. You're not just going to see 10 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's just way too much.
Not really at the angle, as it is. If it was head-on, I would agree with you, Don, but it's on an angle, so you're really not going to see it like what you're saying.
Well,
you really
are. I mean, if you're...
But how many people are going to see it head-on? You know what I mean, really? I'm just being honest with you.
I'll see it every day when I make that turn.
Right, but you're not going to see it head-on, though.
And Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you. Mine was purely aesthetics. I don't care for the tenant sign up on top of a sign that's right now to me is readable, and it's clean. I mean, granted, it needs repair, but it's just it's not offensive. It does its job. It identifies the shopping center, gives the address, and with some repair, it'll be fine. I think you're just cluttering it up, and that was mine.
Okay. Here's the thing, though, Norm. What we're trying to do is we're trying to give the tenant exposure. We're not worried about identifying Creekside. We know Creekside's there. Well, I think I do because I see nothing but foliage in the background, trees. You understand? So you can't even see their channel letters back there. You just can't. So they have like absolutely no exposure at all from the main road. None at all. And that is the main corner right there. Whereas McHenry and 83, yeah, they're main roads, but they're not like the main. That right there is right there for a reason.
Yeah, and most of those businesses in there, is word of mouth. Wapagetti's, if you live in Wheeling, you know where Joe is. You know
Right.
where Wapagetti's
Right,
is.
but how many shopping centers do you know that don't have main ID signs with tenants on it? Not many, almost all of them.
Well, anyway, it's been defeated, and we just wanted to give you some feedback.
So what can I
we
do
go
to get
back.
this sign approved then?
Pardon?
What could I do to get a sign here?
They just told you what they objected to.
Okay, so we'll never put a sign right here then? Pretty much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sir? Sir?
The first one that's coming out has an error on it.
Yeah.
That's what I do too.
Yeah, that's what I said before.
Sure.
Calling docket number PC 12-24, P to N, 122 South Elmhurst Road, minor site plan and building appearance approval for Facade modifications. Facade. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. P to N is wrapping up an addition project. They were in front of you a couple of times. The most significant review was a modification of the special use to do an addition. They did an appearance review at that time. There was an addition in what was, I believe, the Wendy's drive-through, which P to N has never utilized, on the opposite side of this photograph. At this time, they are completing that work and have requested modification to what was previously approved on the north elevation. So this is the view from Jenkins, looking south toward the building, and what was originally approved is represented here as the existing elevation. You can see the addition on the left side of this drawing, and this is what currently exists on the north elevation. And without putting words in the mouth of the owner, I believe that he's just trying to improve the north elevation in conjunction with this project. And so what is being proposed now is a sort of an entry feature on the north elevation. And the project architect is here to discuss the project with the commission.
I know.
Speaking at the microphone, would you give your name and business address, sir?
Good evening. My name is Ali Sujadi. I'm from A&S Construction, and here on behalf of the Peter Inn Restaurant to answer any question you may have regarding distributions, elevations, on north elevation, of course. Yes.
Would you like to explain what you want to do?
Well, many times discussed, owner brought up you got to do something on the north side. It's pretty dull because he always mentioned that if somebody passed by and chopped the top of the building. So I came up with few options, and after few sketches, finally decided to do this. He thought this is more appropriate to kind of enhance the north elevation. And since we're changing all the clay tile roof completely, entire roof, which is, I just had today called the new clay tile coming sometime next week. So it's a nicer looking clay tile than existing there right now. So he thought it would probably make elevation improved and something that's, desirable to look at. Because the patio right next to it, people sitting, so they thought it would be more improvement than what was before.
Commissioner Dorband?
Thank you. My one question is on this particular elevation on the bottom
Yes,
one, that's the east elevation?
that's a new addition, right? Yes.
Okay, you say remove and relocate existing glass door with side light. Where are you moving it to?
This, what you see existing glass door, it was previous was on the existing side, which was pretty much new condition, was a good condition, so we just took it out and relocated them to the new location addition.
So this is the final place it's going to
Right, we have no changes on the east elevation, we just on the north side.
Okay, because unless I'm misunderstanding it, it sounds like the drawing is saying that you're moving it again.
No, if you bring the...
So shouldn't this actually say final? The final, you know what I'm saying?
Right, you think that's, based upon what's here, you think that's going to be changing too with this?
Exactly.
We can have a condition that clarifies
Yeah.
that the north elevation is the only elevation.
Right, I see
Okay.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, because it just, when I looked at it, I thought, well, okay, now you're moving it again. Where is it going if that's the case? Now, as far as the existing, with your new proposal, I don't have any problem with.
On the north elevation only.
Pardon me?
The new proposal is only affect the north elevation
Right,
only.
right.
No
And I have
changes
no
on,
problem with
yeah, no changes on the east
Okay.
and west.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else, thank you.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Thank you. It's fine by me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burns?
It looks good to me also, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
I have no problems with it, thanks.
Commissioner Raffato?
No problems, it's fine.
Mr. Jennings, are there any conditions with this?
Just the condition suggested for clarity, that the drawings shall be updated to reflect that only the north elevation is to be modified.
With that, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Motion made and seconded, please call the roll.
Motion was made by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Dorband. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorband?
yes?
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Commissioner Fotto, I vote yes, and Chairman Maloney.
Yes.
Mr. Sajati, this is a final action.
Yes.
The board does not have to review this, so the permit drawings can be modified at this point to reflect this, and you can continue with the work at
Thank
the
you.
site.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Nice place, good food.
Good night.
You're going to have something to sign over there. While we're doing this, we move on to approval of minutes for September 20th, 2012.
So moved.
Second?
I have a question.
Okay?
On page 7, did I not vote for when we would do the tour? I can't remember. I thought I did and said I wanted to do it now.
I do remember you, because was I the chairman? No, wasn't sure.
One moment.
But I do remember you saying that you wanted to do it now.
Okay, that's it. That's the correction I had.
Oops.
Okay?
You can look at the video and find out.
With that correction, do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I'm abstained.
And I abstain.
We'll go on to September 27th, 2012. Any corrections, additions, changes? With that, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? It passes. Other business.
Okay.
Anyone have any other business? Start with Mr. Burns.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss what we might like to see at Creekside if they really want to get some tenant exposure on a roadside sign, and we don't like what we saw tonight. Well, what would we like to see? I'd like to see the proposal that he made for the two signs that he says the owner said was too expensive. Whatever signs he puts up, I wouldn't like to see more than 12 tenant spaces on it. There's a reason we have that number in the code, and in my opinion, I repeat myself, but there comes a point where you just have a ridiculous amount of information on a sign, and you really don't want motorists reading all that stuff. So maybe he could put an attractive, low monument sign on Elmhurst Road that has the 12 tenants that are closer to that entrance, and you could put another one on McHenry Road with 12 tenants that are closest to that entrance, and perhaps that would serve their purpose, and that would be a proposal that we could approve. Does anybody else have any?
That's basically my thought too, that they'd be way better off with two signs near the entrances than putting that one on the corner. And we were having trouble trying to figure out where the 18 tenants are in that place. Because I don't know that there's that many.
Well, remember, it goes down and around the corner, and then you get the outbuilding.
There's only 4 on the Wapaghetti side, isn't there?
There's the
Wapaghetti's got
laundromat,
2.
Wapaghetti's, bakery,
Burrito?
there's a nail place. Oh, nail place.
No, nail place isn't on that side.
Valentino's Nails?
Yeah,
This is there.
yeah, there's 5. I think there's 5.
And then Elder Famous.
Chinese food place?
So, but that means
That's
that
around the
there's,
corner.
yeah, but that means if there's 5 or 6 there's 12?
Jazz Cafe to the next, and then there's the other section.
Yeah.
goes-
Yao's Chow.
But,
He says he's got 18.
I would agree with
You know.
Commissioner Burns. If we're bringing that up, I would like to see the proposal for the 2 signs. I think that gives better exposure and for our, for those tenants. I think they deserve something better.
And just for background, the staff has worked with tenants there in the past, some of whom have left. There was a group of tenants, probably the earliest one that I can remember, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, came to the village to do this sign on their own and split it among 6 of them, and the only ones who would have exposure would be the 6 who paid for it. So there is a history here. A couple of years after that, there was another effort by the tenants to do something similar. The tenants who were spearheading that effort have also left. So I think this is sort of possibly the third iteration since I've been here. And the first one that I can recall that was led by the management and not the tenants.
And none of those tenants jumped in and wanted to put a new face in that white hen sign?
The unit, the businesses in the White Hen, I think, had the option. I don't think anyone else had the option.
Oh.
But I don't know the condition of that sign at this point. I don't know if you could even easily restore it.
Right. Anything else, Mr. Burns?
No, that's it, thanks.
Commissioner Johnson?
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Raffato?
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Dorband?
A couple things. Tonight was a perfect example of, a petitioner sending the sign person in, and then us having a ton of questions for the poor sign person who can't answer for the actual owner of the property. Why can't we have the property owner come in and be with the sign person? Because it seems to me that lately we've had just so many questions that these poor people can't answer. And it's really unfair of us to ask this person to answer for the actual petitioner.
You know, and to add to that, Commissioner Dorban, we now have consent agendas where sign people, you know, nobody has to come in. But when the sign is on our regular agenda, you know there's going to probably be some questions. So maybe we use that as a criteria. If it's part of our regular agenda, maybe the owner has to be here.
I like it.
Or the property manager.
Or the property manager,
Somebody that can answer our questions.
I think you'd have to run that by the village attorney. 'Cause I think they might have the right to designate who's going to represent them, whether that's a lawyer or a sign manufacturer or...
But somebody could,
we can't, I don't think we can order them to be
ask the
here.
question, get answers, and I think at this point, we need to,
I agree it would be helpful for us, and it would certainly almost always be helpful for the property owner, but if, I don't think that we can mandate that if it's on the regular agenda, they have to show up.
If you have here's what you can do. If you've got questions and they're important enough, you can make a motion that we table it and have the property manager or owner
But my
come in.
point is that we wouldn't have to table it if he
Correct.
was already here.
But if they're not here, that's our option.
Well,
Or kill it, one of the two. I prefer tabling it.
Which is what we did.
Is it the consensus of the commission for us, the staff, to at least check with the attorneys and see if we can have property owner or manager present
yes.
when a non-consent?
I think that's,
Yes, if it's not, if it's a non-consent agenda item.
And then, like I say, if they don't, if we can't do that and they don't show up, we have the right to, table it and have,
well, we
then
always
we
have
have to have
that
someone.
right, but I was trying to
I know, it would
move things
save
along a
another
little more
step.
quickly and to bring something to fruition rather than putting it off to another meeting. The other thing is I want to extend my thanks to Officers Swanson and Parr. They conducted a tour of the police department for the Brownies of St. Mary's School, and the girls loved the tour, and it was really, really informative for them. And the option for the girls to all be fingerprinted was amazing. Now the parents of all those girls, and I certainly think I can thank for them, that now these parents have fingerprints of their girls. And it's a wonderful safety feature, and I just want to thank both those officers for taking the time out of their day, and it was a long tour, so I really appreciate what they did. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you. A clarification on this guy, because it seems to me like he went away saying that he could never get this sign approved. He could never build it. I thought it was his option or the option of the whoever's proposed proposing it, is that they can take a no recommendation from this commission and present it to the board and get it approved.
There is, I'd say maybe about a year ago, we did add an appeals process of plan commission decisions. So he should be able to appeal. He can take it back to the property owner and see how the property owner would like to proceed. But the appeal option is, at this point, it sounds like the only way to.
The appeal option would be to take the no recommendation and go before the board.
It isn't,
Or can he do that?
It would be appealing what is otherwise the final decision of the plan commission. It would be an appeal. We have a process in place for somebody to make a formal appeal of a plan commission decision.
And he would make that to the trustees?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, that because he just, it seems to me like he just went away saying that he could never get this thing approved when that's not necessarily the case.
You're saying he meant he could never get it approved by the owner. The owner.
Yeah,
okay.
I think you meant by the owner.
No, I think, I agree with Commissioner Schaaf. I think he said I could never get it approved by the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could never build this sign.
Right, we can never build this sign.
Right.
We can review the options with him.
Yeah,
And I will
okay.
double check and make sure that the appeal language is there and works in this case. But
Yeah, okay.
I'll make sure I've given him his options.
One more question. Does anybody know who's responsible for when the village supplies water to your house? Where is the responsibility of the homeowner begin? Is it at the Buffalo box in the parkway, or is it at the meter at your house?
In other words, is the service line your responsibility?
Yes.
I do not know for sure. I don't want to give a bad
I
answer.
was going to go to Public Works and ask Christine or somebody like that and see if, because somebody knows. The reason I say is I got the letter from this Northbrook company that says, you're responsible, and if you don't insure, you could be out thousands of dollars. And I said, nah, this seems to be a little shady. But
Send an email to Tony, because he brought that up at a trustees meeting, that there's a lot of scams on that.
yeah, okay, I'll do that.
I don't want to quote, but I think the water is theirs, and the sewer, of course, is yours until you get out to wherever it is in the street. But check with Tony or Christine. But he did bring it up at a meeting, because a lot of people were getting that about 6
What's the letter?
months ago.
The letter's from a Northbrook company saying for $4.95 they'll insure your responsibility of the water into your house.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
insurance.
When's the last
Yeah.
time you had a water
Yeah.
pipe break out in the yard?
Right.
Any other,
When a bus hit it. When a bus hit it.
well, with the bus going underground. Water pipe's about 6 feet down. All right, any other comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Before everybody